Well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. Last night, we saw two competing visions for Alberta and a clear choice for voters on May 29th. The UCP is offering a clear, positive vision for the economy and keeping taxes low, continuing our success in diversification, balancing our budgets, and making our streets safer and life more affordable for Alberta families. Rachel Notley and the NDP, on the other hand, are offering fear, negativity, and more of the same failed economic policies. They're promising to hike the business tax by 38%, which isn't just a threat to Alberta job creators, it risks the global investment Alberta has worked so hard to attract. The UCP has the world investing in Alberta industrial heartland, and Notley's business tax will kill at least 33,700 jobs and scare away at least $1.1 billion in investment, according to top economists. Yesterday, the Alberta Chamber of Commerce even called the NDP's tax hike on job creators, called it out, I should say, saying, "We've seen the impacts of this fiscal policy before. It doesn't benefit Albertans." The NDP are offering to sign on to Justin Trudeau's Net Zero 2035 electricity plan that will raise our power bills by a staggering 40%. Which even the Saskatchewan NDP have said is too radical for their province. The NDP are offering a so-called safe supply of taxpayer-funded drugs that will only make the mental health and addiction crisis in our province worse. The UCP's campaign slogan is moving Alberta forward because that is what we are offering. We want to build on the last 4 years, more investment, more jobs, more diversification, all while keeping Albertans' taxes low and lower than anywhere else in the country, and cutting taxes for all Albertans by creating a new 8% tax bracket for those with income under $60,000, saving $1,500 per family and $760 for individual Albertans. It's shocking, but last night's debate showed that Rachel Notley and the NDP have learned nothing since their disastrous term in government. The NDP are doubling down on their government's failed economic policies that killed jobs, chased away investment, and caused people and businesses to pack up and leave our great province for an unprecedented 13 consecutive quarters. The NDP should ditch their failed economic policies that are threatening to put all our recent success at risk, but we know that they won't. They're determined to take Alberta backwards. Today, we're in downtown Calgary, and nowhere felt the NDP's term in government worse than downtown Calgary. Today, Calgary's downtown office vacancy rate is going down as businesses come back to Alberta, according to Avison and Young. People are moving here to Alberta in historic numbers. International investors are choosing Alberta and Calgary for the competitive advantages we have helped create. The question that Calgarians and Albertans need to ask themselves as they go to vote is this: can you afford 4 years of risky, dangerous, and ideological NDP policies that would hurt our economy, hurt public safety, and hurt the prosperity that we have built over the past 4 years? We've seen these tax hikes before. We've seen these policies before, and they simply do not work. Let's not go back. Let's move forward. And with that, I'll be happy to take your questions.
Thanks, Candidate Nixon. We don't have any questions on the floor. We're going to go through all the questions, then do follow-ups. So we'll start on the phone, see if we get some questions on the floor. Hit *1 if you want a question, operator. First caller, please.
Yes, Josh Aldridge, Calgary Herald.
All right. Thank you for taking my question today. When we look at your platform, safe streets, they've been a major plank in your platform, but the vast majority of that, according to your costing document, it's not kicking in until next year. That's including the ankle monitors. Why the delay? And are programs like the extra fund for ACERT and the sheriff-led anti-fentanyl guns border teams, are those just pilot projects as well, because the funding for those programs only goes for 2 years?
Well, the Alberta budget process doesn't work in 5, 6, 7-year increments. So you have a clear promise from the United Conservative Party to fund important programs like that to deal with crime and keep our streets safe in places like Calgary and across the province. That is what we are committed to. We will be committed to continuing to fund important programs like that going forward. Again, this is the difference between us and the NDP. We're focused on productive solutions that can help deal with things like crime and taxes and make sure that we can continue to move Alberta forward. And, when we make a commitment, we're going to follow through on it. That's a sharp contrast to what we've seen with the former government, with the Rachel Notley government, where they don't announce what they're going to do, but then arrive and do things like bring in a job-killing carbon tax without telling anybody about it.
Operator, next caller.
Thank you. Tim Brooks, CTV.
Hey, thanks for taking my question. I wanted to ask about last night's debate. There's a couple instances from both parties, but a couple more from your leader. Instances of, I guess, what you would call stretching the truth. I just want to know what do you think about leaders stretching the truth? Is it an honest way to operate when not every Albertan can just fact check on a whim when we see a very fast-paced debate like last night's?
I didn't see my leader, Danielle Smith, and the Conservative Party stretching the truth last night. What I saw was a clear vision for this province to move forward with the amazing economic success that we have seen, to make sure that we stay on a track of leading our country in North America as an economic powerhouse, to focus on what is probably the most important issue in Alberta right now, which is the affordability crisis and the inflation crisis, with a clear plan to build on the already $2.7 billion worth of investment that we've put into helping Albertans address this affordability situation, which I have to say is actually the number one thing that candidates are hearing at the doors right now. And it was refreshing to see a leader last night with a very clear vision on how to handle that. And then the other thing that I think was stark last night that really stood out was the fact that there is only one leader and only one party that is prepared to actually stand up to Justin Trudeau in Ottawa. That is the biggest difference that I saw last night. Danielle Smith was prepared to standing up to Justin Trudeau on things like production caps, which would destroy our economy, things like the just transition, which the NDP have indicated that they would sign on, that would have devastating impacts to the oil and gas industry and the men and women that work in it. And so that was the difference between the visions of the leaders. Rachel Notley, on the other hand, presented a vision of raising taxes by 38%, causing billions of dollars to flee our province, and causing tens of thousands of Albertans to lose their jobs, just like she did the last time that she was in government, and making very, very clear that she would sign on to the policies of the federal government when it came to the attack on our largest industry. So I think that is what I saw last night, and I think I'm very proud of Danielle Smith and the positive vision that she presented to Albertans that the Conservative Party is bringing forward for May 29th.
Thanks, Tim. Operator, next caller.
Thank you. Sean Pulzer, Western Standard.
Hi. Just going back to the cost of your platform, looking at oil prices today, they're around $71, been hovering around 70, and it seems to me that it's predicated on $75 for break even and 79 to post a surplus. So I guess my question is, what's going to happen if these oil price numbers don't pan out? Are you prepared to start cutting back, or what would be Plan B?
Well, before we finished up the 30th legislature, the United Conservative Party passed legislation that laid out a plan on how we will deal with the roller coaster that we find ourselves at times in our province on when it comes to resource revenue. It laid out a very clear plan on how we would save in the Heritage Saving Trust Fund, a portion of surpluses going forward, as well as paying down debt with another portion of it, and then investing in things like affordability and other things that Albertans need at this time. I'm confident that that process that we laid out will help us be able to adjust to any adjustments to oil and gas going forward. And I think because we have done that, we've put Alberta in a position where we have some flexibility to survive the ups and downs when it comes to oil and gas, and we're very confident in the numbers in our platform. And I can tell you, if Albertans' primary concern, and many it is on who can manage the economy and budgets better, there's a pretty clear contrast between the parties. My party, under the leadership of multiple premiers, has balanced 3 budgets in a row and has put our province on a trajectory where we are saving money and investing in Albertans. The former party racked up, the NDP party, I should say, when they were in power, racked up $100 billion in debt, put on the largest tax increases in the history of the province. And that is something, with the carbon tax, I should say. And that's something that they're now running on again, which is a 38% increase to taxes inside our province. Sorry, I should say the corporate tax rate inside our province, while also putting forward policies that would raise Albertans' electricity bills by upwards of 40%. So if the question is who has more economic credibility, I think we already won.
I don't have any follow-ups in the room. So, operator, could you please put through our first follow-up question?
Yes, Josh Aldridge, Calgary Herald.
Thank you. So my follow-up question is, I just follow up on the Western Standard question there. I just want to be clear then. So if there is that drop in oil prices, you're going to use the contingency fund to make up the difference to balance the budget based on that contingency fund, which was so critical as part of that framework for the budget that was passed in the spring. That would be part of the savings that we put forward.
We've been clear. We have passed legislation to keep Alberta at a balanced budget. It provides in that legislation ability to have some flexibility in moments where oil and gas goes down, but in general, we'll always make sure that Alberta ends up back on a balanced budget. The budget that has already passed the legislature, it's already done, the budget for this fiscal year. We are very confident in the projections that were done by Alberta's government. And I can look, as a former finance minister in this province, I can tell you, I have complete trust in the officials over at Alberta Finance and Treasury Board that they got it right for this budget that we're on, and that they have built enough flexibility in the budget to deal with rising and lowering costs of resource revenue. And so we stand by the budget that the Alberta legislature passed before this election was called.
All right, I don't see any more follow-up questions. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you.